Adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman, W4CY Radio, and it's another Positively Pipeman. And again, we're going to have our resident expert on business coming on the show and talking with us, or is here with us on the show. And so I'd like to welcome Michael Barbarita. How are you?
Thank you, Dean. Hope you're well today.
I'm well. And you know what? Every time I say your name, it's everything in my power in my brain not to say Barbarino.
I know. That shows your age, though. Now that shows
right?
Your age.
I know, right? Some people might not even get that joke, but it was true. Like when I was just saying it, like it was about to come out of my mouth, and my mind, I had to change it.
You're not the only one. You're not the only one.
I won't be the last person.
Over 50. But only people over 50 say that.
There you go. At least you're not Horseshack, okay?
Right.
So, okay, this time we're talking about the 5 components of a compelling offer. And I love this segment the best because I'm all about compelling offers when it comes to business, sales, and like, to me, it's all about finding out to me, sales is not, people have it the wrong way. Sales is not selling something that somebody wouldn't buy. It's convincing somebody to buy. It's not selling them. It's convincing them to buy something they already were going to buy, but they're buying it from you. And in order to convince them, there has to be a compelling offer that's going to make you stand above the competition or even above any of their objections. So why don't you tell us what your strategies and your 5 components are for a compelling offer?
Be happy to do that, Dean. Thank you. Thanks again for having me. So if you recall from the conversion formula, captivate the problem, fascinate the solution, educate, where we elaborate on why that solution is far superior to the competition. And then finally, the offer. And as I said in a previous segment, that the offer has to be so compelling and so irresistible that the customer can't say no, or they'd feel foolish if they were to say no. And so there are 5 components of a compelling offer. Through our research, through our studying, now maybe there's more, but through our research, we've narrowed it down to 5. And by the way, you don't have to do just one at a time. I've seen the most effective offers combine at least one, but one or more of these components. So the first one is urgency and scarcity. So urgency, right? This offer ends on Friday. Scarcity, there's only 3 left. Or if you're in my business, for example, just as an example, I only have so much bandwidth. I only have 3 spots on my calendar. Whatever the scarcity is, whether it's actual quantity of product or time, whatever the scarcity is, urgency and scarcity. And I combine those as one component. So the second one is risk reversal. Now, if you recall from my story in the ski business, we had a ski guarantee. Ski the ski 3 times. You don't like it, bring it back for a brand new pair and keep bringing it back until we get it right. And that is a risk reversal. And the risk reversal is where the seller in the transaction takes most or all the risk. And very few times does a risk reversal backfire, like almost never. But yet, many business owners are scared to use it.
They totally are. Yeah. They totally are. And I'm here to tell you, as a motivational speaker, that is the number one thing that is used when selling your program or your audio program or your video program. It's the 30-day guarantee. And 99% of the time, nobody is ever not satisfied at that 30-day mark.
Right. And especially if you believe in your product.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that has been, that is a great way to make an offer compelling. So think about it. If you combine urgency and scarcity with a risk reversal, that doubles up on the power of the offer. The third one is adding more value to your product or service. So let me tell you what I did when I was in the frozen cookie dough business. So the problem the customer had in the frozen cookie dough business is they didn't want to waste valuable oven space baking cookies. Okay, so what we did, and there's a couple dynamics here. Number one, we understood the long-term value of a customer, which is extremely important for every business owner to know. What is the long-term value of a customer? So we understood the long-term value of the customer. Just so you know, it was $5,000. So when we sold when we had a customer in the cookie dough business, we can expect at least $5,000 of sales over the term, 3 to 5 year term, which we considered was the lifetime. It was longer than that in most cases, but we had to use a criteria. So what we did is, and by the way, the average opening order was $50. And what we did is we gave away a free convection oven, which cost us $200 with an opening order that averaged $50. So we obviously lost money for a couple of orders, but we had confidence in our product. That's very important. We believed in our product, and we understood the long-term value of a customer. And it worked famously. It solved their problem. And by the way, they got to bake other stuff in it too. Okay. But it solved their problem, and we got orders because we added more value. We weren't just cookie dough. Okay. We added more value to a cookie dough purchase.
And people, like, they eat that stuff up, you know, that even somebody like myself who knows what these marketing things are, it adds value. So it's not like a trick or something. It makes you want to buy the product. And you know, going back to something you said, it reminds me of this industry. So before I ever had a network, I used to pay to have a radio show on other radio stations. And one of the things I found with all my competitors is they all do a 13-week contract, that they all have a revolving door of business. So they're always after fresh blood. And, you know, because they would charge as much as they possibly could in the very beginning to get the most money right up front. And to me, first thing I think they're alluding to what you were saying before is they don't have confidence in their product or their service, or else they wouldn't need to charge the most amount they ever charge in the beginning. They would charge the least amount in the beginning and charge the most later once they've gained that client to be like a forever client. The second thing that I found is that, you know, I'll tend to say to people, and I joke about it, it's like a joke, but I'll say, I'll make you a deal you can't refuse. And that goes along with what you're saying, even though I'm joking. Basically, what I'm saying is, hey, I want to find out what your needs are, what your problems are, what the solutions are, and your budget. And I'm going to try and make you a deal that's so compelling that you're not going to want to refuse it because it fits every criteria that you need. And so I'm living proof that everything you're saying is absolutely 100% effective.
Interesting. So yeah, you know, and that fourth component is what I call packaging and bundling. Now, let me give you a quick example of that. So when I was by the way, back to the adding more value, I just want to give one other example. So if you sell popcorn and you put it in a box and you sell it for $2, and then you, instead of putting it in a box, you put it in a vase. Okay, you can now sell it for like the vase might not cost you an extra $2, but now you can sell that product for $8 or $9 because they can reuse it. So that's adding more value without really adding and also adding more profit margin.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so that's just another example. So it's not just a giveaway thing and understanding the long-term value of a customer. You also can just add more value by being creative with how you package.
Listen,
now,
florists do it all the time, don't they? Florists have the package deals where you get the stuffed animal, the vase, and everything. And people spend a lot more money for that. They make a lot more money, and everybody's happy.
Terrific example. That's right. Yep. And so the fourth component of a compelling offer is packaging and bundling. And let me explain. when I was in the ski business, everybody, I mean, everybody packaged skis, bindings, and poles. Okay, fine. But what we also did is we took the best, the highest selling ski graphics. So the skis with the graphics that sold the most. And we went to the clothing department and put together clothing packages, a hat, a sweater, parka, and bib for one price. And they sold famously. And so it's that perception of value when you package and bundle together. And you're also, my competition, I don't know why they didn't even copy it. They never, it was working great, and they never copied it. Which is another interesting thing.
I'm a big believer in the packaging, by the way. People buy packages, and a perfect example too is McDonald's. Did you ever do the math on a value meal? You know, if you bought the value meal, everything separately, it would cost you a penny less than buying the actual value meal.
Right. It's unbelievable.
Right?
And that's how, yeah, because it's the perception of value. A value meal. Well, how can it not be a value?
Exactly. And nobody calculates it. They just buy them. Like,
they buy it. Right.
I can't tell you how many people I know that don't even drink a soda or eat fries, and they'll still get the value meal because they think they're getting a deal.
Right. That's an excellent point. Excellent point. And then the final component of a compelling offer is the toughest one. It's indifference to the outcome, not being connected to the outcome. Many times, too many times, salespeople are connected to the outcome. And what happens is that when they're too connected to the outcome, the prospect can tell that they're not in it for them, they're in it for themselves. And there's ways to do it. One of the ways that I do it is that, whether you work with me or someone else, there are 5 steps that you must take in order to properly implement business and financial strategies that your competition isn't doing. And then I would go through those 5 steps. And then I would recap it once again, whether you work with me or someone else. And so that's just one part of indifference. There's other parts where some people would say, I don't want to get in the way of you succeeding. So if for any reason there's a lack of trust, or if for whatever reason you don't want to work with me, I'd be happy to refer somebody else. So there's a bunch of different ways, because everything is transactional, Dean.
Yeah.
We have to make it transformational. Okay. So if we're indifferent to the outcome and we identify the problem that the customer has, that's transformational. If we're not indifferent to the outcome and we don't connect it with a solution, we're just a transactional sales weasel.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's why, and a lot of salespeople that you're talking about that are doing the transformational, they do this strategy without even trying to do it. That's why the takeaway is the best sales tool there is. Yes. Because
that's it. Yeah, that's another.
And most salespeople refuse to do the takeaway because they are afraid they're going to lose the sale. And the point is I've always believed exactly what you're saying. No, it just shows that, hey, you're providing something of value. If it's not good for them, it's not good for them. Or if they don't want to do business, they don't want to do business. You don't need their business. They need your business. And that, again, that's perception.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree. That's a great way to put it. So just in review, urgency and scarcity, risk reversal, adding more value to your product or service, packaging and bundling products and services together, and being indifferent to the outcome and not disconnected to the outcome.
Well, I am connected to you and to what you're doing for people. So I hope that's allowed. And we need other people listening and watching to be connected to you too. But you're indifferent about that. I'm the one hawking it.
That's right.
So, so why don't you tell everybody how they reach out to you, how they connect with you? Also include, you have a book that they can get. You have a podcast, radio show. Give them all that information.
Okay. Yes. So what we do is we perform book interviews with people who are interested in learning our strategies. Why? Well, we're constantly updating our book because business is always changing. And the way the book interview works, it's at 60 minutes on Zoom. I present strategies from my book, and then I ask you what the impact that strategy would have for business owners that would implement it in your industry. And then I document it for the book. And the way to get a book interview is you go to www.nextstepcfo.net/contact, and then fill out the contact form. And in the message section, write the words book interview. And I'll send you a calendar link. And I promise you this, you'll learn business and financial strategies that your competition isn't doing in that book interview. And then secondly, you could go to nextstepcfo.net and download our book. It's free. And then our podcast resides at powerfulbusinessstrategies.com. And our radio show is on Mondays at noon Eastern at w4cy.com.
All right. I love it. Again, such helpful information. And you are definitely a champion for businesses all over the world. And so once again, I want to thank you for being on this Positively Pipeman segment of the Adventures of Pipeman.
Thank you for having me, Dean. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.